All right, everyone. I'm here. Welcome back to the Loan Officer Experience podcast. I'm your host, KT, and today I've got a special one for you guys. I'm hanging out with my old friend, one of my very, very good friends, Darren Copeland, somebody who's been in the trenches of this business for a very long time. He's built big, he's failed big, he's bounced back even bigger, and he knows exactly what it takes to win in the life of the mortgage game. I'm telling you guys, this market, especially, is somebody you want to hear from is definitely Darren. Now, listen, if you're a loan officer, maybe you're sitting there, you're sitting around, you're waiting for rates to drop, hoping that business, just falls in your lap, low hanging fruit. I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful that this episode is going to help you see things a little differently. I'm here to rattle your cage. Darren is as well. We want to talk about real moves that you can make today, right now, to grow and scale in this crazy, crazy industry. And so we want to cover things probably like realtor partnerships, what actually sticks, um, you know, how to start your business, some of the things that the top producers like Darren are doing. So buckle up, grab some coffee or, pre-workout if you're crazy like me, and we'll dive into this conversation. Darren, welcome to the Loan Officer Experience Podcast. Appreciate
KT,
you.
what is up, dude? It's so good to be here, man. The last 90 days, I just got like a calendar, and every single day I just X them out, I just exit out as we get closer to doing the podcast. Like, man, I cannot wait to get on here and just hang out with my old school buddy.
That's it, man. We've you and I have had a long road of success and failures, Darren. Like we've known each other close to 20 years, give or take. It's been a long time. I kind of quit counting after like 15 years. I just quit counting. But you've definitely been someone that's always stood by my side. I feel like we grew up in the industry together. I remember when our kids were born, right around the same time we were, having
Yep.
kids together, learning this business together. It's been a while, man. I remember the Ron Sachs days. I remember,
Yep.
the Carl White days where we felt like, and we've always been, I always felt like we've been the tip of the spear.
Yep.
And you've gone through some hardships yourself, and so have I, and we've lived it, right? So I guess the first thing I want to ask, for those loan officers that are listening or maybe watching is paint a picture, right? Like what's the current market like from your perspective, with all the knowledge that you have, and more importantly, how do you think loan officers should be thinking about it?
The cool thing is we won't call ourselves old. Let's just call ourselves veterans of the business, right? You know, we got in the business, right? Early 2000s. We didn't know what a denial was, right? And then we hit the financial meltdown, 08, 9, whatever that was. We saw what it was cool to be a broker, not to be cool to be a broker, go retail, then it's cool to be a broker again. I mean, and then you have like the personal ebbs and flows of just life. So, I think the biggest thing, KT, and I'm glad you brought it up, is, man, anyone in this business that has been here for a long while, is whether it's personal or business, you're going to go through some trials, right? You're going to go through some trials. And the biggest thing is you want to be around friends and mentors and everyone who's going to lift you out of those trials, because let's be honest, this business is not easy. So let's get to the question is, as far as this market goes, dude, honestly, the past couple of years, I don't think we've ever seen such an opportunity to grow our business than we have in the past. And what I mean by that is you have all these people that are getting out of the business. They're not renewing their license. They're burned out, right? I just think it's such an epic time to not only build new referral partners, because a lot of people are getting out and there's not as many loan officers, but also if you're building a branch or if you're building a business or whatever, it's a great time to recruit. So I think a lot of this, KT, we'll talk about today is, dude, a lot of it's mindset, bro. A
It is.
lot of it's mindset. And I coach my team, and I even tell my wife this because she watched the news too much, but dude, you just got to get away from, all the negative crap, right? You got to be so locked down and dialed in and be so guarded on what you let in your head. Because, if you get into Facebook and you hear these people just whining and crying about how bad the market is, I call them keyboard warriors, right? They're just sitting there and, they're angry because they won't pick up the phone and actually build their business. They'd rather go into, a loan officer chat and, bag on some wholesaler or some crap like that. Right. Um,
Yep.
you have to be so careful, whether it's going up down the negative train on social media or the news or just hanging around struggle bunnies, like whatever that is, like, dude, you have to guard that, man. And I think if you do that and you're hanging around the right people, dude, I think this market I think it's amazing. I think it's fantastic. I mean, I was just having this conversation with someone earlier, like, dude, people are going to be buying houses no matter what. So do you want to make excuses and do you want to make, reasons of why, everything is against you? Or do you want to rise above and be the light and be that light to your referral partners and help them out and do this and do that? And you're lifting them up, right? And the business just keeps coming. You just keep building from that. So, I just think the opportunity is there. I think as we all, like you and I, KT, we needed help with our mindset over the years. And that's why coaching has been so big. And you just need to make sure you have a tune up every now and then and make sure you're not going off the straight path.
Yeah, I can agree with you more, man. And it's almost elementary. It's almost elementary. And that's what I always love about our relationship is like we'd always get together and we would filter through the fluff and the bullshit that we were learning about things. And then we I remember we'd always look at each other and be like, man, okay, but like, this is what it really is. And we're like, yeah, that's what it really is. And so what we mean, and what I mean by that is, to Darren's point, it's mindset. If you want to be successful, you have to be willing to do the things consistently that most loan officers aren't willing to do. Guys, it ain't that freaking hard. It ain't that hard. If you got to be committed to the process. And like, what does that mean? Well, being committed is moving a mountain with a shovel. It's doing things other people aren't wanting to do. And when you have that mindset, and that prosperity is a choice mindset and willing to stay positive and, give value and be positive instead of negative. Because Darren, I see that shit too, man. People want to hate on lenders because of one deal. It was probably 90% their fault. You know what I'm saying? For something that they didn't.
Here's the LKT. Like when I look at everything, right? So like sometimes the power of no is amazing. Right? Like earlier in my career, I said yes way too many times, right? But the power of no will set you free. So you have to be so careful. So like if you're dealing with a referral partner, right? And you've been wooing them, and then all of a sudden they drop a deal in your lap because the other two lenders said, hey, this deal's total shit. It's not going to fly. And then they give you a chance and you do something crazy and said, yeah, I think we can do it. No. You don't want to start off relationships like that because that's what you said. Like, 90% of the time, it's not the lender's fault. You're trying to squeeze a 550 manual USDA underwrite and writing letters of explanation why their DTI is 70 on the back end, right? That deal sucks, right? Right?
Yeah,
it's the American dream, not the American right. Okay.
That's it.
It's nothing personal. So just be very, very careful what you bite off. And, sometimes if people say, listen, man, thank you so much for thinking of me in the shot. But man, unfortunately, these people, they need 6 months to work on X, Y, and Z. And I just want our relationship to start off on a good foot. So, we're not underwater from the get-go. Are you cool with that? And they're like, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
That's golden. That's golden.
Yeah.
Most people don't do that. It's golden. It's like they think that if they don't do this deal, this shitty deal for this, realtor partner or referral partner, that it's somehow reflection on them negatively. Nah, bro. It's a reflection on you negatively when you try to, put a, something in that doesn't fit, just that isn't going to work. Don't let that be your reputation. I call them reputation killers.
Exactly, man. You were third choice to the prom. Let's not everyone get upset about this for a second. Okay. Let's take a step back and let's analyze this. But you know what? I think that comes from also, experience, KT, people would probably curl up in a ball if they knew the amount of times that you and I were rejected or just some of the stuff that you go through. I mean, that's just a part of it. And man, in this business, you kind of have to be like a baseball closer. So like if you guys are big fans, I'm a big baseball fan and I know KT likes the Rangers as well, but man, you have to be like a baseball closer, right? You have to come in and close things out. And guess what? Every now and then you're going to give up a bomb and you're going to lose the game. That's part of it. but you have to have a very short window of having a pity party and getting over it because you're going to be coming out the next day. You're going to be asked to close the next ball game. So, the negativity never goes away. It's your responsiveness and getting over it. That's what changes. And again, it all starts with having a really, really good mindset. And we can talk about that, like routines, what I do and things that what we've done over the past. But, it's kind of like, dude, it's kind of like going to church. You just don't read the Bible one time and be like, I got it, man. No big deal. No, like you have to go, you have to get refreshed. You have to go to church. You just have to, have to keep all that positive stuff keep coming at you because, in this business, you just have, it's repetition and you have to hear these things over and over because sometimes it takes some time for that to sink in.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of distractions in our industry as well. And I think one of the things that loan officers fall into is the trap of like the new shiny objects, the things that, are new or something that they think they have to come up with these new ideas and all these things to get in business. And really the reality is you just need to be reminded of the basics. Yep. And when you're reminded of the basics, that's where the money is. That's where the beginning is not always sexy, right? Because there are things that you and I used to do that we don't have to do anymore. So things that we did, 15 years ago, we don't necessarily have to do. But if you're starting new in the business, you got to start at the same place that Darren and I did 15 years ago, but you plug into guys like Darren and be able to learn from. So let me ask this question. If I hear loan officers saying, well, business is slow. And I'm thinking, well, God dang, man, the low hanging fruit is gone, bro. You got to climb up the tree and go get it. So
you got to work.
So if you have a loan officer a shovel, where would you have them dig?
Man, start with your friends. You always hear me talk about, we were in the same coaching group that preached this about hanging around that 25% of the people that love you no matter what, right? So first and foremost, you have to start in your own backyard, the people who love you and who are going to cheer you on no matter what. So dude, like if I saw one of your questions, like if you had everything taken away, where would you come back and start, right? And dude, I would go knee deep on friends. I would be in front of them all the time. I'd be asking who they know that's going to purchase in the next 12 months, ask them who their favorite real estate agent is. Because you and I coined this phrase, we might've swiped it, but the LO who has the most friends, right? The LO who has the most friends wins, right? And it's true, dude. It sounds so basic, but where LOs find themselves is they fool themselves into being busy, right? I don't see how some of these LOs, they get on 4 or 5 webinars a day, and then they're setting their prompts for the AI and all this crap. Like, dudes, like, okay, that's important. It is. But if you're on more than 3 to 4 Zooms a week on self-help or strategy, dude, you got too much time on your hands, right? It's not the sexiest thing to talk about, but man, it's a basic blocking and tackling of everything comes down to relationships. So if I'm going all in, man, dude, there's 3 things I would do. One, we can talk about this, but I'd get one of the companies, whether it's MMI, Model Match, I like Redder, right? Find out who your targets out or go after your targets. I would stalk them on social media, become friends with them. And then I'd be shooting videos and putting them on social media just so people are getting to know who you are. But dude, everything is you're just bringing down the barriers. The more people that know who you are or see you on social media. So when you make that call, you're not a complete stranger. And dude, it's all about maintaining friends or making new friends nonstop every single day. Right?
Yeah.
That's it, dude. That's it. Like our buddy Barry Habib, he said something a couple of years ago that really stuck with me. He goes, there's opportunities everywhere, right? There's literally opportunities everywhere. You just have to be dialed in, have your routine in place, but then you just have to be looking for excuses to reach out to people, man. People love that stuff.
I agree. He has a book called Money in the Streets. He talks about his mom, and there's literally money in the streets. And what he meant by that is there's opportunity in the streets. Yeah. So I couldn't agree with you more. I look back and I've been doing videos since I think my first video was like 2007. And I go back and I look at it and I'm like, good God, man, look exactly the same. No, not really. Right. Well, definitely, I've come a long way. And I do think video and relationships are so important. I know my number one referral source last year believe it or not, was Google reviews, man. It came from
Yeah.
Google.
Yeah.
Google reviews and the videos that I had done, YouTube and Google own each other, same company, right? So
Yep.
you get a lot of optimization when you have a lot of education that you're putting out there. And whether it's short form and long form, you got to do both, And so I think
Yep.
that's a huge. So let me ask you, Darren, what would you tell loan officers not to do? If you could get on the rooftop and yell it through a megaphone, what would you tell them not to do?
What I would tell them not to do. Well, number one, I would tell them not to listen to any middle manager or even coach for that fact who has never produced and who has never been in the trenches, right? Because a
Yep.
lot of that is all theory, right? And hey, I was there too. I worked for a retail side, nothing against it, but you have a lot of retail managers that are pushing the narrative of the company. They're like, but they've never went out there and produced, so they have no idea what that is. And also, make sure if you have a mentor, dude, I don't care. It might have been 5 years ago or 10 years ago, but make sure they were actually in the trenches and they actually know what it is to go out there and do loans. Cause there's just a lot of pretenders, as you know, KT, when it comes to gurus out there. So, man, there's so many things that they can.
Careful who you listen to.
Oh my
I always,
gosh.
I always say, like, don't listen to someone who makes less money than you. I know that sounds awful. Like it's a good, like I'm just saying,
Dude,
it's a
it's
good
true.
strategy.
It's true. No, I mean, it's so true. And you know what? I think the biggest thing is like, if they're in a place where maybe their pipeline's not where they want to, hey, and guess what? KT and I, we got in this business. We didn't know jack squat. We didn't have all the tech and the tools that everyone has these days. I mean, social media wasn't even that big back then, but there's so many opportunities, but also at the same time, there's so many distractions. So I would tell them, be very, very careful. Stay away from the distractions. Don't fool themselves into being busy, right? Just because you're on social media and doing stuff for 10 hours a day, if you're not actually reaching out and doing money making activities and having those conversations, that's going to lead to referrals in the future. You're completely wasting your time, right? But let's talk about a couple things that if they need to do something like now, like right now, in
Yeah.
the Google reviews is, go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was
Well,
gonna
I was
say,
going to ask, that's a question I was going to ask you. Yeah. Google reviews for sure. Cause it's
dude,
so simple. Like what's the one, well, like in the green zone, right? Or the
yeah,
green, your book, right? We're going to talk about this book in a little bit as well. There you go. I want to promote that for you, for
right.
sure. So what's the one discipline? Like what's the daily ritual that's a non-negotiable, no excuses that loan officers should be doing every single day?
Yeah. So we got this from the first mentor that you and I ever had. He called it the $1 million app, right? So over time, that's the great thing about coaching. You take bits and pieces from different gurus out there and you make it your own. But like the one thing that is just non-negotiable for me is, I call it the green zone. The green zone's your money making time, right? So, I got that from a football analogy because if you guys ever watched the red zone on NFL, right? The red zone is the channel that if they get inside the 20-yard line, they flip it over to that game because they're getting ready to score either a field goal or a touchdown. And that's the real sexy part of the game. So I was like, hey, man, I'm going to call this the green zone because you're getting ready to, score a closed loan, right? You're almost there. So let's call it the green zone project. And that's your 2 or 3 hours every single morning that all you're doing is time blocking. You cannot let anything interrupt you and act like you're taking $1 million app, right? But all that inside there is everything you're doing. And again, the Green Zone project gives you several different ideas of what to do during that time, but you customize it as your own, right? So whether it's you're focusing on your Google reviews, another super powerful thing is leaving Google reviews for other real estate agents that you've worked with, whether on the buy side or the listing side. And KT talked about like the easiest, coolest phone call of all time is when you call up the listing agent and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, hey, thank you so much for being awesome to work on the other side. Our buyers are so ecstatic. Hey, I just want to let you know, I just got done leaving you a 5-star Google review. I hope that's okay. And you guys keep rocking out. If there's anything you ever need, I'd love to be a resource for you. Boom. Like, let's go. Right. So you've got the Google reviews. You've got the gratitude videos where you record a 45-second gratitude video and just text it to referral partners, past clients, friends, just all that stuff. And there's many, many more that's in the book. But dude, if people would just focus and do that 2 or 3 hours a day, Monday through Friday, because where the problem is, most of the LOs, as you know, dude, they have no fucking plan in place. They just wake up willy-nilly, check my email. Oh crap, I don't agree with these conditions. And now the rest of their day is off track, right? Because they're playing defense the whole time.
Yeah, I always like to say that when we do these things that you mentioned, whether it's like I'm very well known for sending thank you cards. Like I legitimately sit down and I like to handwrite thank you cards.
I've never got one.
Okay, I need to put you on my list, babe. I'm gonna put some perfume on it too, some cologne for you, so KT's in the house. But there's a lot of little things like that you mentioned that add up, and they're not hard to do. No. But that's the thing is loan officers think, well, I don't want to do that. That's not going to get me a loan right now. Well, it's not. It's a longer term play. But when you come to mind, you're going to come to mind because of the thoughtful, sometimes it's not what you did. It's the thoughtful thought that counts more times than not. Right. In my opinion, this is AT opinion. And I'm just a big proponent of, texting, the thank you card, the gratitude, the appreciation, all these. It's almost like you have to do it from a mindset, because if you have expectations tied to it, you're going to get pissed off every single time, because realtors will let you down. They're not a loyal group of people. They're just not. And I don't mean that, in a negative way. And like even my team gets upset sometimes. Darren is just like, I can't believe that they're doing a deal with this person. I'm like, whoa, hold up. I'm thankful for the business that we get. If they want to send it's hypocritical for us as originators to get upset with referral partners when they refer business elsewhere. That's like asking us to only have one realtor partner that we send business to, right? Or take business from. Like, that's not how it works. It's a relationship business. To your point earlier, and you said that. You said it's a relationship business. I'm a firm believer in that.
Right.
Be thankful for what you got. You're going to have real estate agents that are all in on just using you. You're going to have some that use you and a couple of others, and there's going to be some that use you just every so often for this one thing that you're really good at doing, right? And so, that's why you got to be careful. But when I do these things, I do them with no expectation of anything in return. Sure. And you'll be in a lot better mindset to continue to do those consistently. And if you do it, I'm telling you, for 90 days even, pick a couple of things, do them for 90 days. And I swear to you, your life will start changing and you'll start seeing those moments. And then you just build momentum from there. And then you'll fall into, getting deals that you otherwise wouldn't have gotten that had you not done those things, right?
If you got to have the mindset, and you have to be a creature of habit, right? Like, people, I think they hear certain things like, what's your why, what's your morning routine, all this other stuff. And they don't take it seriously. Like, they literally don't have a regimented plan that no matter what, they're going to do this Monday through Friday. And, you guys have heard this adage before. It's like being a farmer, right? Chris Vincent talks about this all the time at Windsor. It's like, he's got a great presentation on being a farmer. Like, every single thing that you're doing is leading up to a deal in the next 60 or 90 days. Right. But if you do like what KT said, like in this green zone project, if you just do a couple of things and you do them consistently Monday through Friday through 90 days, your business will completely change. Like, if you literally just follow the plan, there's no way that you can fail. The only way that this can fail is if you don't put your plan in place and you don't do the work, right? And I'll be honest with you guys, like 90% of the LOs, not the ones that are listening to this, because the ones who are listening to this are actually wanting to get better and improving, which is amazing, because we're always trying to get better as well. But guys, 90% of the LOs aren't going to make it, right? They're just not. 10% are going to be the ones that are actually going to take the information and run with it and go out there. And you don't have to be the smartest. You don't have to be, the best looking. You just have to be consistent, right? That's it. You have to be consistent and doing the right thing. And in today's day and age, you guys, man, if you're the light, in what KT was saying earlier is, I call it the art of giving a rip. Usually I cuss, but my wife Chili Pepper said I need to watch that. So I need to watch that a little bit. So, but seriously, the art of giving a rip, dude, in today's society, if you take that extra step and you just take it, a little bit farther and just wow them a little bit, dude, that's not common these days, right? So like the Google reviews and the gratitude videos and the thank you cards, like all that stuff, going that one extra step, dude, that goes a long way. And yes, there might be some agents out there that you might not be getting all their business, but dude, what if the next 90 days you got a handful of agents and you got a couple deals from, right? It's not like we make $200 when we close a loan over here, right? We're talking about like legit money, right? So again, from going back to our first mentor that KT and I had 20 years ago, he told me, he's like, DC, he had it with me one day because I wasn't doing my homework and I needed this. And he's like, he goes, I don't need your money, right? I'm here to help and coach you. But if you don't put a plan in place, you're never going to make it. You might as well go do something else. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Lesson learned. And I still think about that on the weekly. So that was like one of the best pieces of advice that I got. Because, dude, if you have a positive attitude, but you have to be coachable, right? Right, KT? If you're not coachable, go into a trade and do something else.
100%. Darren, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, there's no excuse. There's just not. If you don't have the level of business that you want as an originator, there's no excuse. You have zero excuse. And I'll just give you an example of what I mean. You can do open houses, right? You can do a housewarming party, right? Pick one client a month and throw a housewarming party, have the real estate agent, send the invites out. You take care of the food and have a housewarming party 30 days from the time they close, right? And give you that. So that's another strategy. You talked about Zillow strategy, Google reviews. I'm sorry, not Zillow, Google reviews.
Yeah, Google.
Man, UWM flies realtors out. Like you can take a realtor or two to UWM free of charge and do a tour at a realtor day and take them to a dinner that night. Like there's so many things that you can do that cost very little.
Yep.
That really move the needle. And to your point, it's relationships, it's consistency, it's mindset, it's picking those 3 or 4 things. And that's something else I see a lot too. Loan officers, like they want to do too many things. Just pick those 2 or 3, maybe 4 at the most, right? We had a coach that taught us like you want a 4-legged stool, right?
Yeah.
If you have 3 legs, it's going to be wobbly. If you have 2, it's going to fall over. But you have 4 strategies, but you got to take those strategies to completion and you got to get them producing for you. And what are they? Well, I think it's different for everyone, Darren. I don't know your thoughts on this, but like pick the one thing that you think, oh, that would be fun to do, or that's a talent that I have, or, that's something that would be, interesting for me. What are your thoughts around that?
It all comes down to figuring out what you want to do. And I loved what you said earlier. So we had a team meeting this morning and one of my bigger producers, he literally has 12 deals in the pipe that's closing in the next 30 days. Okay. And he got on there and because we go around, we do shares, we talk about either personal wins or business wins. And I'm like, hey, dude, like, what's up? What are you doing? He's like, well, the last 90 days on a Saturday, I'll pick 2 or 3 open houses that are close to my house. And I just stop in for 5 minutes. Now, keep in mind, this dude ain't sitting around 8 hours and building out his AIs and all this other stuff, right? He's going to start hiring people to do that. So that's a whole nother thing. But he's like, yeah, I just stop in an open house. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? And he goes, hey, so I'm just curious, where does your preferred lender ever hang out and do these with you? And it kind of takes them aback a little bit. And they're like, well, no. He's like, hey, listen, I'm local. I live right down the street. And man, we have this really awesome 1% down conventional program. And I'd love to help you. Here's my information. I hope good luck today at the open house. And I hope to talk to you soon. I'm like, dude, and this is a guy who's not struggling, right? This is a guy who is just going to keep it going for the next, 90 days, 6 months and keep his pipeline because, once you close 10 a month, you don't go back to 1 or 2, right? That doesn't, plus your spouse gets upset. But it's just, again, there's so many things and not to totally pimp out the book, KT, but, the Green Zone Project, at $9, that's all Fraser, man. We priced it way too low. Cause I think people, if we charged $1,000 for it, I think people would take it more seriously and do it. But like this thing on Amazon for $9 and literally everything that I've done in my 20 years is on paper in that thing, dude, that's like the biggest no-brainer of all time. Like go in, figure out what your green zone routine is every single week to make your money, right? Have a 90-day plan and don't get distracted. Right, KT? Just stay in your lane. Focus on the 95% of all loans that close, which is conventional, VA, FHA, USDA. My word, if you have to let that other shit go of 5%, right? Let it go, right? Stay in the wheelhouse, stay with the loans that are going to get you more referrals, slay those, and just make a ton of money. So now I'm getting fired up, right?
Let it go. Let it go.
But you know what? All joking aside, KT, dude, people don't realize the amount of time and the amount of money that you and I have spent in coaching over the years.
Yeah.
It's no joke, right?
I mean,
So it doesn't happen overnight, right?
Yeah.
You have to learn, and you just, man, you got to put in a little bit of work.
That's it. And there's so many changes coming. If you're early adopter to a lot of the new stuff that's getting ready to happen, you can't forget the basics, man. But anyway, that's another podcast for another day. Guys, the Green Zone Project, you can find it on Amazon. Darren showed up again. I know if you can't see the video, you definitely are driving, you won't see it, but the Green Zone Project, it's a no BS playbook for loan officers who want to build a successful business. Guys, I've known Darren for 20 years. He knows what he's talking about. He's got the knowledge, the experience, and the tools necessary to help loan officers grow in their business. And we certainly are here to help you do that. So Darren, without further ado, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, dude, it's a lot of fun. We could sit here like all day. So let's do it again sometime.
We will. We certainly will. Okay, guys, we'll talk to you again. Until next time, take it easy and we'll see you on the other side.